are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to College Loop Podcast, episode 261 of the College Loop Podcast. I am Dylan Larck, able to take on Twitter to talk to you about the latest in Auburn athletics news as we have made it to the bye week. Auburn gets a nice 2 weeks off, per se, of practices that desperately going to need those. Auburn is currently 2-4 on the season. 3 in the SEC, stinking it up. I think right now Auburn sits at like 15th in the SEC is where they would stand at. 15th, 16th, doesn't matter. Not undefeated, defeated in the SEC. I am going to give my wish list for what I want Auburn football to accomplish in these coming weeks. Now, we've talked about everything Auburn football has done wrong over these past 6 weeks of football, and it's been a mixed bag of emotions surrounding what we've seen on the screen, what we've been hearing from the coaching staff, what we've seen from the players. Starting off, the first one I have is get healthy on defense. Now, there's one of all the things I want to complain about on this team, the defense is not one of them. I think the defense has played well enough for you to have won every game you've played. If the offense met the same energy level as the defense, I mean, Auburn could be 6-0, 5-1 right now, going into the bye week with very little things to fix. And I know Hugh has talked about this. I mean, Jalen McLeod and Keldrick Frock both have played a lot of snaps, and they're going to desperately need this break and getting ready for the remainder of the season. Of course, they have one more bye week, I believe, for in between Vanderbilt and ULM will be the next bye week. But yeah, going into these couple of weeks, I mean, you have an opportunity to get your guys right. I say defense. That works for both sides. If anyone's banged up on offense, like Jarquez Hunter, despite the fact he doesn't get enough carries, needs that off time too. But we've seen a lot of promise from this defense thus far. DeMarcus Riddick has looked great, getting in. Caleb Harris and Malik Blockton both have looked great. They're both on mid-season all freshman teams already. You're seeing it in motion, and DJ Durkin and Charles Kelly both. I mean, if you bring both those guys back next year. That's been an issue with Auburn is the continuity with the coordinators. Bring both those guys back next year, this defense could be top 3 in the SEC if it continues to build on what we've seen so far. So yeah, get healthy on defense. That's what I want Auburn to do in the next 2 weeks. Up next, build a scheme for your roster. I talked about this on the live stream on Sunday. I'm going to talk about it now. This team is not built for the RPO. This team has tendencies to reach that down the field passing game that we're wanting to see, the explosive offense. But this team also fits the mold of a team that needs to run the football a lot. When you have a roster compiled of 3 all SEC caliber running backs, I'll go and state that Jarquez Hunter, Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb do not get the ball nearly enough. We saw against Georgia where Jarquez and Damari both were averaging over 5 yards a carry, and then they were taken out of the game late into it, where Auburn was just trying to pass the ball, trying to get back trying to catch back up to Georgia. You have 2 weeks to work on this. And, I mean, I'm not a coach. I'm not in the meetings. I'm not going to be there at practice telling, someone to catch the ball when they shouldn't. That's not my job. But what I am seeing is a team that is running an offense that isn't their best fit. If you're going to say it all throughout the offseason that the best part of your team will be the run game and should be the run game, I think you should be proving that by running the football more. So I think going into the next 2 weeks, I mean, you saw Missouri get dog walked by Texas A&M, and they did that through a balanced offense. Auburn has to find that balance. You have to find a way to run the ball more. Got to do that. That is not impervious. Is that the word I'm looking for here? For Auburn to win these games, because the issue with Auburn right now, and it's not on my wish list, so I can say this. The issue with Auburn is they don't know how to win yet. And you need to take the ball and put it into the hands of the guys who can help you get there. Jarquez Hunter, one of those guys. You saw him versus Georgia. He ran hard. He ran anger against Georgia. That 30-yard touchdown run was ridiculous. And I don't know why in the world you take the ball and take the game out of his hands. I don't know. Up next, fix the offensive line. Last week was the worst the offensive line has looked thus far into the season. Percy Lewis has just not looked great. I mean, he was a guy I was very high on going into this year. I mean, you had an all SEC caliber left tackle coming in, and he just had moments where he was either too slow or he jumped off sides. And Peyton Thorne got it under duress a lot last week. He got sacked 3 times. I don't know how many times he got pressured. I need to find that stat somewhere, but it felt like it was a lot. Peyton Thorne found a way to get himself out of a lot of those sacks. It could have been triple, quadrupled from 3. It could have been 12, could have been 15. It was a lot of would have been sacks had Peyton Thorne not been able to get out of those. So going into this week and going into the next 2 weeks of practice, you need to find an offensive line that works, that is a unit, that can move as one, that's not breaking down, that's not, slow to move, not slow to adjust, not calling the plays right, not audibling correctly. That was the issue we saw last week versus Georgia. And going into this 2 weeks of practice, you have an opportunity to get that. Tyler Johnson, Braden Joyner, guys like that, maybe moving Dylan Wade back to left tackle. Things that you need to see that have worked in the past that could work again if you give the opportunity to. I mean, Percy Lewis he has the potential to be very, very good. I don't know if it was just an off game, but there have been moments this year where Percy Lewis just hasn't looked the part, not as well as advertised. And I know he has the potential to be that. So just kind of finding what works. That will fix the offensive line. Up next, find a balance between Thorne and the playbook. Now, I also worded this differently over here on my rundown. I put settle the beef between Peyton Thorne and the play calling. The biggest issue of the season thus far has been the inconsistency of the playbook. You never know which Auburn team you're going to see on a week-by-week basis. Are you going to see a down-the-field passing, air raid Auburn offense? Are you going to see an Auburn team that wants to run the football? Are you going to see an RPO scheme? You don't know what you're going to see. And also, what doesn't help as much whenever it's 4th and 1, you call a halfback dive to the left, and your quarterback decides to change the play. IS doesn't tell anybody they changed the play and ran a read option to the right, confusing the offense, the head coach, and the fan base alike. We're all confused as to what we saw. I'm not saying that the settling the beef here is benching Peyton Thorne. I don't think that's the issue right now. I wouldn't know if that would fix the problems of Auburn's offense if you just gave the keys back to Hank Brown. You've now put yourself in a pickle where you have to leave Peyton Thorne in because now you've just shown that you don't have faith in the freshman quarterback anymore, so you put this guy back in to go out there. But there has to be some kind of coaching moment here where, if your guy isn't calling your plays correctly or running the plays that you call and he's calling, a stupid play, some coach trust has to be taken away there. I mean, I'm thinking of like in college football, like 25, NCAA 14, even NBA 2K terms. If you start going against what the coach is saying, you lose a lot of trust. I know NCAA 14, if you audibled out of a play that the coach called and you made a bad read, you got sacked, you threw an interception, you lost extra points from the coach. You lost extra trust from the coach. And I mean, this could go, I'm going into two different tangents on one pick here, but you also need to see a balance in the offense. I mean, you have to find your identity and stick with it. At this point in the season, no one should be still working. No winning program or program that's wanting to win now-ish should be halfway into the season and not know what offense they should run that week, what offense they're going to have that week. Auburn doesn't really have a true identity. I mean, they want to pass the ball, they want to run the RPO, they want to run the football, but they don't know how to do that consistently. They don't know how to do any of those things consistently because they try to do so much every other week that it just seems, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a glitch in the system is going on. Like you see the RPO and it doesn't work, then you try to change the pass plays, and pass plays are starting to get overridden by bad offensive line. You try to run the ball, and the running's working, and then you want to go back to the RPO. You got to find a balance. Peyton Thorne's your quarterback. Find the balance, settle that beef, just play as a team. That's the basis of that one. Play as a team. It's not the Auburn Peyton Thorns. We're not the Auburn Hugh Freezes. It's the Auburn Tigers. The offense needs to go out there and play like an offense. They don't need to. That hero ball doesn't need to be happening. Changing the plays there don't need to happen, and then just making stupid decisions, play calling wise, doesn't need to happen. You have to find that balance. You have to settle that beef, not only with your quarterback, but with yourself as well. Make the right plays. Don't just throw a wrench into something and think it'll fix itself. No, it does more damage that way. And the last thing, this is going to everybody outside of the Auburn football coaching staff and team itself, fans everywhere. I can speak to y'all because I'm a fan of Auburn as well. I wear Auburn a lot. I have an Auburn jersey behind me. I have a whole rack of Auburn jerseys next to me, Auburn hats galore, a cardboard cutout of Bruce Pearl staring me down to the left of the camera. I can speak to everybody when I say this. Auburn fans, get off the hot seat conversation this year. It's not going to happen. It's not worth the energy for y'all to hop onto the hot seat bandwagon. Yes, it's a frustrating year. Yes, I'm annoyed about it. I don't want to be 2-4. I love Auburn. I graduated from Auburn. Auburn's been my dream school since I was 4 years old, winning my first Auburn football game. Jump off the hot seat. I am just as mad about how this team has looked as anybody. And Peyton Thorne said he doesn't want the silver linings, but there are a lot of good silver linings there. The offense has been explosive, but there's been turnovers. The run game has looked the part, but sometimes they don't run the ball like they need to. The young defense has looked great, but sometimes they look like they're freshmen playing football. You got to take the good and the bad. And it's hard not to notice that, even if you don't like the trajectory of what you're seeing thus far, there is a path where Auburn next year can be a really good football team. It's about the patience of it. And it's about looking at what Auburn can do next year. What are we seeing now that we can't wait to see next year too? Kale Ellis is going to go to the league. Auburn's going to have a wide receiver in the NFL. I can speak to that personally because, I think it's great that Auburn finally has a chance to get another wide receiver in the league. Darius Slayton, I think, is really the only one that's getting playing time. Anthony Schwartz, I don't really think gets much. And I don't think anybody else is after that. But every time the going gets tough, you can't just run to the next coach right away. Eli Drinkwitz required time at Missouri. And now Missouri, regardless of the fact of how they lost against Texas A&M, Missouri's a top 25 team. They were in the gutter. Eli Drinkwitz got him out of it. You look at Steve Sarkisian at Texas. Texas is now the best team in the SEC, one of them at least. It took some time to get there. It takes time when it comes to building a championship program. And yes, Auburn is a top 15 program all time. So is Texas. And they gave Sark time. Give the coach time. And I understand the past and everything. You don't like them because of what the baggage is. Everybody's got baggage. And I know that's kind of just a scapegoat, but give Freeze time to build his program. Give him, if we're 2-4 next year, I will hear y'all out when it comes to the hot seat conversation. We're in year 2. And not only are we in year 2, we're also a top 3 team in the class 2025 recruiting rankings. Top 3. 2026, we're a top 5 team. The path is being built where Auburn is not only just looking to compete. I mean, Auburn is what? This Georgia game was the worst loss they've had all year. 31-13, which is 18 points. That's the biggest loss of the year. Every other game was 7, was 10, and was 6. And if things just went the other way, you don't throw 4 interceptions against Cal. You don't throw 3 interceptions the first half versus Arkansas. You don't miss a pair of field goals versus Oklahoma. And you don't put Sam Jackson in on the 1-yard line. They're 5-1 is there. Auburn's been competitive. Auburn has been in the race for a lot of these games. And the missing pieces that aren't here yet are noticing that. Deuce Knight flipped to Auburn despite the losing record. You have guys reclassifying that I'll talk about in just a second who are wanting to join this program right now. And you're not hearing bad things from the recruits. You're not hearing things that put you in the panic mode for next year. I'm hearing recruits watch a team lose that they're committed to. They're watching them lose, and I want to say embarrassingly a little bit because you're blowing leads, you're throwing interceptions, you're turning over the football a lot. But you sit down and then you hear some of the recruits talking about it, and you're like, oh well, yeah, they lost, but they're one piece away. They lost, but there's some things they need to work on that I can help with. They lost, but when I get here, this won't happen. That's the thing that you're seeing with Hugh Freeze's recruiting mantra, and you're seeing tangible results on the field that can give you that glimmer of hope. And you're seeing the explosiveness on offense showing itself. You're seeing freshmen and sophomores and redshirt freshmen alike getting their chances to get into the game, getting their chances to help Auburn, getting opportunities, getting plays, getting designed playbook spots just for them, i.e. Malcolm Simmons. You're seeing that happen. You're watching the class 2025 see that happen. Class 2026 doing the same thing. So that's my last thing. 2 weeks. Just chill out. Saturday's going to come and go. We get to sit down and watch a stress-free college football Saturday. And then we got to get ready for Missouri that next week in Columbia, Missouri. 11 a.m. kick or 11:45, one of the two. Hopefully 11 a.m. That way it's over sooner. Which, no, never mind. Take the 2 weeks and just breathe. Hugh Freeze said in his press conferences yesterday, this week is going to be about getting right and recruiting. And, you know, getting right also goes with the players as well as it goes with the fans. You know, get off the hot seat conversation. Give it time. And yes, some fans want to be in the win now mode. Auburn's not going to win now. You can be there. You can have those expectations. They're reasonable expectations. Auburn should be a program that should be pretty easy to turn around. But that doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't happen right away for everybody. It's not gonna. You're not gonna get a 2012 Gene Chizik 3-9 season to Gus Malzahn national championship turnaround. That's a rarity. And it honestly feels like some Auburn fans look back at that and think that can happen every year. It's not. And Auburn doesn't need to be the kind of program that's going through coaches every 3 years. It's a stupid thing to want. If you're wanting your football program to be constantly paying buyouts for coaches, that's on you. But don't bring that to my fan base. Don't bring that to my school. I don't want that. Give Freeze time. Again, 2025. If we're 2-4 again, you know, with losses to the same teams. I know we play Baylor next year, so that'll be Baylor's actually week 1, so that'll be the season opener at Waco. If you're 2-4 next year, you can start the conversation. But this year, look at the bright sides. They're there. And I know it's hard. I mean, I'm just as emotional about Auburn football games as anybody else. Just give it time. And that's coming from me. You know, I love to rant. I've been given crap to this team all year long. And now I'm sitting here telling you, you know, yeah, this team doesn't know how to win. This team, I just told you all the things I said right there. They are not schemed. They're not scheming correctly for the roster they have. They have offensive line issues. Peyton Thorne and Hugh Freeze were at odds on Saturday because of a play calling issue, which is a play calling issue has been an issue all year long. That kind of goes to everything. But there are silver linings. There are bright sides. Be positive. You know, if Auburn turns it around after the bye week, let's say Auburn wins. They say they beat Missouri. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be excited. And then if you can beat Kentucky, if you can beat Vanderbilt and ULM, you know, right there, that's 4 wins that you need. And that can all work if you just take the bye week and get right. And then if you win 4 out of the next 6, you go bowling. And, you know, pretty much people can ignore the start. If you're back in the bowl game, you're seeing the progress. And then at that point, you just got to win the bowl game. And then you're going to see the proof of concept. You're going to see that things are getting better. So that's my rant. That's my little, not to get too preachy about that, but it annoys me. It's in the hot seat conversation so early. But we're going to go to a little break. I always saw this break. We're going to talk about an Auburn reclassification. And I'm going to wrap up with my SEC power rankings. And you might be shocked who I have at number 1. So we'll be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes, looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. And of course, the Feelin' Loopy t-shirt is available on thewarreport.com. First page is the hat. Second page is the shirt. Most comfortable item you're going to wear in your entire life. It is currently October 8th. Halloween's like 23 days away. What be the best costume to dress up as? Is a looper. Why not? It'd be awesome. Most comfortable items ever, especially when you're wearing them at the same time. I've already said this before. When everybody wears their looper merch, I mean, Auburn will win a football game. Auburn will win an SEC game as soon as everyone buys the merch. Just saying. You can't say I'm wrong because clearly it's not been happening yet. Once I see it happen, I mean, there you go. It's going to start happening. But as we get ready to wrap up the show, starting off with some news that we were not able to talk about. Kale Ellis, a former 2026 Auburn commit, has reclassified to 2025, eagerly awaiting to December to sign with this team early. And that I don't think it moves Auburn up a spot in the recruiting rankings, or I don't know if it moved them down in the other rankings either. It might have point wise. I'd have to go do the math on that. But now Auburn moves up to 26 commits into the class of 2025, which is 6 more than Alabama. Kale Ellis is a Rivals 4-star everywhere. 24/7 is a 3-star, but a high 3-star, very close to getting that 4-star. Big body center, 6'4", 285. Can't wait. And I love that you're seeing guys that are so excited to join the team early. And you're going to have a lot of guys who are going to sign in December and then enroll for the spring. That's something you love to see. The guys are excited to get to campus early. I think A-Train's going to be one of those guys. Alvin Henderson's going to be one of those guys. Autry wants to be one of those guys. I'm pretty sure. And Jared Smith and Jordan Crawford. Those guys want to get to Auburn early. They want to get right. They want to be in the start. They want to be in the lineup early. They're seeing Malik Blockton. They're seeing Norris Riddick, Caleb Harris, Jalen Crawford, Kinsley Foster. They're seeing all these young guys get in, and they're so eager to get in, and it's so enthusiastic about what Auburn's going to bring for them that they're ready to go. And that's something you'd love to see, and that's something I was just talking about earlier. So yeah, super excited. Kale Ellis now 2025 commit, and massive, especially because the offensive line definitely needs some fixing. So the more the merrier. All the offensive line guys reclassified 2025 and signed with Auburn. So yeah, big ups for Auburn recruiting, still going strong. SEC power rankings to wrap up the show. So a lot of movement. There was a lot of movement going on in this power rankings. I threw a lot of. I took these wins. I took some wins lightly. I took some wins not so lightly. So I don't know where to even start off with this one. Number 16, I guess, Mississippi State. I think they had a bye week. So there was really no movement for them there. 15, I was debating this one, but I think I'm going to put South Carolina at 15. You lost to Ole Miss. You played close against LSU. You did some dumb things versus Ole Miss. I'll start off with the stupidest thing ever is the dumb new trend of celebrations with pretending you're, assaulting someone, I guess would be the best way of saying that. Shooting someone. Yeah. Dumb thing. I don't know why people do it. It's such an obvious penalty right away, and it's so aggravating to watch it happen. I was rooting for South Carolina in this game. If you couldn't tell, I don't have any hard feelings. I don't like Ole Miss, so I was rooting for their downfall, and South Carolina just did stupid stuff. So South Carolina currently and firmly at 15. 14, I have Florida, just because they beat Gus Malzahn in Gainesville. I'm not going to give you too much credit there. Florida is a lot better than I expected, though, and I think some of the SEC is as well. 13, I have the Auburn Tigers playing close against these games, but not enough to win them. Auburn, I almost put at 15 and 14, but I'm not for right now. 12, Oklahoma had a bye week and just had some teams have some good wins, so they got to move up a little bit. 11, I have Kentucky. I think Kentucky was also on a bye week, so they kind of got affected by this. Number 10, I have Arkansas. Huge win versus Tennessee. Got to throw some goalposts into River, I believe, or someone kept a goalpost somewhere. I don't understand the whole goalpost in the River thing, because there's no way I'm not taking one of those home. I'm not going to try to find a way to bring it to my apartment. In some way, shape, or form, I'm getting a piece of that goalpost, and it's coming with me. It's not going to go in the river. So, yeah, big ups to Arkansas. Number 9, I have LSU, another team that was on a bye week. Moving all the way down, I had this team at, I believe I had them at 3, or I had them at 4. Dropping 4 spots to 8 is Missouri. Taking a massive, embarrassing loss to Texas A&M, who is now at my number 7 spot. 6, I have Tennessee, dropping a little bit because I still think Tennessee is a very good team. Arkansas just had the right scheme for them. So, yeah, I'm still expecting Tennessee to turn around to the end of the year. Ole Miss, number 5, getting a big win at South Carolina despite losing to Kentucky 2 weeks ago. 4, I have Alabama. Dropped a few spots. Still think Alabama's a very good team. That defense, though, explosive offenses are going to do some damage against Alabama's defense this year, as long as they don't turn over the football. Keep that in mind. 3, I got the Georgia Bulldogs. I think they're going to jump. I'd put them back over Alabama because Alabama lost to a certain team who I'll talk about in just a second, because you noticed they haven't talked about them yet. Texas, number 2, going to be getting Quinn Ewers back, I believe, for the not the Cotton Bowl. It's where they're playing it at. The Red River Shootout is where that one is going to be taking place at next week. Quinn Ewers, that's going to be a very fun game to talk about on the pregame show. Number 1. Now, this might be for clickbait. It might just be so I can have a fun post to make, and people are going to hate me for putting them at number 1. My power rankings for week 6, my number 1 team in the SEC. Give me a drum roll. Vanderbilt. I'm giving Vanderbilt the top spot because I think they've deserved it. They've earned a 1-week spot at the top of the power rankings. Do I think Vanderbilt will be a SEC title contender by the end of the year? Absolutely not. But they beat Alabama. They are going to wear the crown. They deserve it for the week. Everybody in the world, there's 134, 135 FBS programs. I'm going to say 134 just for the thing. 134 FBS programs in the country, and 133 of them are Vanderbilt fans this week because they took down Alabama, and not only just didn't get like fluky and beat them. No, they absolutely dominated Alabama. And though the score doesn't reflect that, I beg you to go look at the box score and look at the team stats. Favorite stat line of the week, the Alabama and Vanderbilt time of possession, where Vanderbilt had that football for 42 minutes and didn't punt the ball once. Converted every third down, scored points all over Alabama's defense. It was glorious. So for that, Vanderbilt firmly number 1 for this week. You've earned it. Old Dandy Vandy themselves. Clark Lee just got himself a lifetime contract. Not actually, but probably will. That's a career-altering win right there. That's the kind of wins that got James Franklin a chance at Penn State. Clark Lee, hopefully you stay at Vanderbilt for a while, because if you keep doing games like this, you can do some damage. And you outsmarting teams, out coaching Kalen DeBoer. Keep doing that. Vanderbilt, I think Vanderbilt plays Georgia this year. Is that right? I want to look at Vanderbilt's schedule real quick. Why not? Let's see. Vanderbilt Commodores, currently 3-2. They don't play Georgia. They play Kentucky this week. Then Ball State. Then they play Texas. Then, of course, Auburn. Then South Carolina. They have a bye week for LSU and Tennessee. Let's see. If you there's a good chance Vanderbilt goes bowling regardless, but would be awesome to see. Currently, SEC power rankings, though, I mean, throw those out the window because right now Texas A&M is 3-0 in the conference. A&M, a lot better than I expected them to be. But regardless, Vanderbilt, number one in my heart, number one in the SEC right now. Not number one in my heart. One B right now. I'll give them that. You beat Alabama. You're my favorite team for a week. You and Auburn both. But that being said, that does it for this episode of the College Loop Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Leave your thoughts on what you want Auburn to accomplish during this bye week. And, of course, thank Vanderbilt in the comment section below. We cannot overstate our applause for the Vanderbilt Commodores for their upset over Alabama. It's the greatest thing ever. I am never going to stop talking about this game. Never in my life. I don't even care what Auburn's record is. I don't care who Auburn has lost to. Alabama lost to Vanderbilt. It's the greatest thing ever. It's awesome. But don't forget to check out the College Loop on every single social media platform, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all of the College Loop, and, of course, audio versions of the show on Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, of course, Amazon Music, all those at the College Loop as well. Get the merch. And don't forget, again, like, comment, and subscribe. And, of course, all that being said, thanks for watching. And, as always, War Eagle and Anchor Down.